Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate your time, and I'm sure you're going to find today's presentation quite valuable. So with that, we've got Ryan Ayres from Aruba Networks joining me today for our presentation on managing networks from the cloud. So today, Ryan will be covering with us the latest updates and what's new in Aruba Central 2.5, the different financial and consumption flexibility options from within your cloud infrastructure, as well as some of the new capabilities on offer through Aruba Central. And as I'm sure you're all aware, with the dynamic and remote workforce that we're now going through as a result of COVID-19, this is here to stay. In fact, Gartner predicts that the remote workforce will jump from 30 to 48% actually, post COVID-19. So combine this with, I guess, the explosive trend in IoT devices and the ever increasing requirement to build software-defined wide area networks. You'll see how leveraging the cloud managed networks with Aruba Central will help you address these complex challenges actually with a lot of simplicity and ease. Before we go too much further though, I just would like to go through housekeeping. So you'll notice on the side, there'll be a chat tab. Please do, if you've got any questions or if you encounter any technical difficulties along the way, please use the chat tab. We'll be monitoring the chat and we'll, depending on the volume of questions, and I'll leave that up to Ryan, we'll either handle the Q&A on the way through, or we'll handle Q&A towards the end. This session is also being recorded, so for those of you who aren't able to attend, or anyone who's registered, in fact, will receive an email and a link with the opportunity to watch this webinar post-event or on demand. With that, what I'll do is I'll hand over to Ryan to kick off today's webinar. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Dean. Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me? There was a bit of a delay there, Dean, when it kicked off. So I just want to make sure, is audio clear? Can we get any comments in chat before we start moving? Can hear me? Okay, cool. Welcome, everyone. Okay, so I've got about half an hour. We're going to do a couple of quick slides, and then we're going to mainly do a demonstration today on Aruba Central and give you a look at some of the features, some things that are upcoming and so forth. So fire away, put any questions in the Q&A you want to. I'm sure if you happen to come up with some pearlers and we can't come up with an answer, that'll put you at the forefront for winning the 515. It is a random draw at the end of the today's session, but feel free to ping us along the way, and we'll address them if we can, or we'll address them at the end of the session. So thanks for joining, guys. So for anyone that didn't hear the announcement, 2 weeks ago, we had our worldwide digital conference that we hosted online. What we announced was Aruba ESP. So Aruba ESP has been a couple of years in the pipeline. What it is a platform to enable us to securely provide end-to-end infrastructure. So from SD-WAN services to your wireless, to your wide network, to also your controller-based infrastructure in one single platform with zero trust security and AI ops built in, which we'll kind of cover today in some of the demos. So a pretty big announcement from us, enabling us to really secure and have our end-to-end portfolio in the one platform. Now, what we're going to do today is kind of cover some of the work and features we've been doing in Central over the last 12 months. We had a fairly major release, 2.5, come out a couple of months ago. There's also an upcoming release, which I'll go and give you guys a bit of a sneak preview today on some of the new features that we have coming out in Central as well. So what is Central? It is a cloud-based platform to enable us to manage and monitor all our wireless, our wide products, and SD-WAN. So SD-WAN is our wireless controllers running as SD-WAN gateways and VPN concentrators. And on top of that, with the software piece, we have Central for your management, your analytics, and your security platform, all underlying that as APIs. So all of our products are open-end APIs, which you can also utilize to integrate your own platforms and products if you want to. For anyone that is an existing customer, I guess 2.5 was a pretty big change. This is a quick overview on what we did in that 2.5 release. So the navigation, which I'll walk through everyone today, some really big changes around navigation and I guess ease of use as far as configuring and getting between configuration and monitoring. Operational workflows, we've automated a lot of the configuration side of things for you guys, especially in the SD-WAN piece. There's full workflows to onboard and deploy and manage and configure your VPN concentrators and also your branch gateways. Integrated assistance, I'll kind of give you a quick look at that in the demo. Some quick walkthroughs and kind of intelligent searches to enable you to quickly enable and search for users that are having trouble and get some insights through AI insights on those users and what potentially is going wrong in the network for them. A quick look at some of the insights. We'll do a demo on this, but insights is all about proactive health monitoring, network assurance, and anomaly detection. So with our platform, what we have obviously a lot of customers, a lot of data that we can use to start using that to provide customers with insights based on information that we can anomalize and then look at, and then provide you with information to help you, I guess, proactively maintain, configure, and monitor your network. And a new platform as part of this product portfolio is Zero Trust. So part of that Zero Trust is a platform called ClearPass Device Insights. Now, time permitting, I'm going to give everyone a quick look at it today. Device Insights is all about getting a lot more visibility on your network, a lot more discovery. Now, we have a product today that does some of this for you. With Device Insights, what we're doing, though, is getting a lot more information. So, what kind of devices are connected and what are they talking to on your network? That enables us to then start doing some smart things around machine-based learning and AI, some built-in AI to kind of look at what a device would normally do on a day-to-day basis and start profiling it based on, what traffic we should normally see from a device. And then we can build some smarts around that, around maybe looking at what a device isn't doing and should be doing. Maybe that's a security risk in the network, and then applying security policies on top of that. So I'll give you guys a quick look, time permitting, as to what this kind of looks like from a GUI perspective as well today. And we also now have operations and insurance. So I'll give you a quick demo on this to kind of give everyone a bit of a look as to what we're building out in this platform. This is a quick, I guess, overview on all our products that are part of the central supported platform. So we have all our AOS switches, our branch gateways, instant access points, and we have a couple of value-added services that I'll talk about in the demo and kind of go over licensing and how all that fits together. So that was a quick introduction. Let's dive into a demo and we'll show you guys how it all fits together and looks. Okay, so Dean, do you mind just letting me know, can everyone, or can you at least see the central dashboard?
There is a slight delay. There we go.
Slight delay.
We've got it now.
It's loaded up. Okay. So this is where all the magic begins. This is the account home within Central. I'm not going to dive into this too much today. This is where you'll do all your user access, your role-based access for people that want to have particular access to maybe particular sites or maybe read-only access and things like that. Also, all your devices, all your subscriptions get loaded in here, and we can then start assigning and getting access to devices on your network from there. What I might do is, before we jump into, say, the operational piece, I'm just going to show you subscription assignment, because this will kind of explain how Central's licensed and how devices get licensed within Central. So this is my subscription assignment page. I've got auto subscribe off. With all the products, when they get plugged into your network, they will actually automatically try and connect to Central. So with zero touch provisioning, all our APs, all our switches will automatically try and connect in here. If they are added within the platform, which that can be done automatically when you order from us, if auto subscribe is turned on, they will automatically get a device management license for that product. So how we license products is via a device management license. So you can see here I've got a number of switches, and you might see here, here's a bit of a, I guess, a preview of things to come. We have one of our new AOS CX switches, or 6300M, is in there and licensed. So there's a bit of a preview as to what's coming in the next release. Subscriptions are on a yearly basis, so 1 year, 3 year, 5 year options. And it's just a single subscription for each device for how long you want to manage it. So from there, we also have additional add-ons, which are called services. So if we drill down to the bottom.
Ryan?
Yes, Dean.
We've just got a question come in from Tim. Are you okay to answer questions on the fly?
Of course, fire away.
Sure. Okay, so the question we have is that does Insights interact with HPE InfoSight, for example, from the Nimble or Pro line, product line, as it is supposed to analyze the network layer, as well as detect anomalies across the entire infrastructure stack?
Good question. What it actually integrates with is ClearPass, which is our NAC platform. The idea is with CDI is that it'll actually gather lots of device information, a lot more detailed than what ClearPass can. And I'll kind of cover that a bit later when I demo CDI. Once you see the products and what it looks like in the GUI, it'll kind of make more sense as to how it integrates with ClearPass. But no InfoSight today, no. So just quickly on the service management subscriptions, in here I can then also, if I have purchased additional service tokens, I can assign some of our additional central services to those devices. So I've got a couple of APs here. They've got all my services licensed, and these are also on a subscription basis, so 1, 3, 5 years. Those services are Clarity, which I'll talk about in a minute when we demo things. Cloud Guest, which is a guest through Aruba Central, Presence Analytics, and also UCC, so enabling you to start getting visibility as to voice calls going over your network. So that's the quick look at subscriptions and how they all fit together. So what we'll do, we'll dive into network ops and have a quick look at the platform. So to start with, I'm not going to dive into the GUI. What we're going to do is just give you a quick overview on, I talked about how devices out of the box will actually try and connect to Central. And if you have auto subscription turned on, they can actually automatically zero touch into Central and get a license. What we also have is the ability to zero touch through what we call a installer app. So here I have my install manager and I have my site. So for a big distributed customer, you might have hundreds of sites in here. What we can actually do is through this platform, we can set up installer accounts. So you can see here, I've got an installer account for myself. Now I'm just going to edit that and show you what that looks like. And I've given access to myself to manage a particular site. So what happens is when you add a new installer account, you put in the installer's details, they get a message on their mobile device. They can then download the installer app on their phone and log in. Now, once they've logged in, they can then go to site and use that app to scan the barcode on the device, whether it's a switch, whether it's an AP, whether it's a gateway, and they can then assign that to a site that they have been allowed access to manage. And what will happen is when that device is assigned that site, it'll automatically download from Central whatever information or configuration we actually have for that particular site within the platform. So very, very easy way to enable your level 1 staff that aren't that technical to easily deploy devices on site. So really, really powerful way to to get devices up online, especially with big distributed networks when you want to start enabling users to deploy devices on site without having to get involved in the deployment process itself. So that's a little touch on Install Manager. So it's a value add that's part of the platform that you can also use. So I'm just going to quickly go over the overview and our main tabs that we have in the platform to begin with. So this is our network health. So I've got one site in here today, just to give you guys a bit of a look as to how that looks. But for a big distributed environment, that would appear on a larger map, and then you can overlay and see all the site statuses of all your sites in your network. So here today, I'm going to click on my site, and immediately I get a bit of an overview as to what's going on, what's connected, and whether I've got any immediate problems within my network. So you can see here on my site, I've got my status of my devices, what's up and what's down, whether we have any memory problems, CPU problems, how my radios are operating in my environment, and also my SD-WAN platform. So whether my uplinks are down or up, and what my tunnels are doing in my network. So we can see here quickly, one of my uplinks is actually down on my SD-WAN gateway, but my tunnels are still up. So here's a very quick way of being able to then dive into that site, and we'll go into that site in a minute and have a bit of a look as to what that looks like. Before we do that, we might just quickly go through some of these tabs and explain what we have as far as data and information you can gather on your network. So WAN health is all our WAN gateways we have on site, or your VPN concentrators. So here we can see what kind of sites they are, whether they're available, up or down, and connectivity. So my gateway isn't passing much traffic at the moment, but we can see here very quickly the status of that and what's going on. And also performance and policy compliance. This is a big one for the SD-WAN platform. So if you have policy compliance, so say you have an application using our DPI engine, say Office 365, you might say, I want to allow, or I want to check that Office 365 will run through my primary link based on certain metrics like latency and jitter. If that's violated, that can come up in this dashboard, and we'll actually show you whether an application has violated policy conformance and it's maybe flipped over to another WAN link in your environment. So a really quick dashboard is to see what's going on your SD-WAN network. Summary page, so it's all about usage, Wi-Fi usage, bandwidth usage on your wireless network, your client counts, how many clients are connected to your network over a time period. Now, while I'm showing you all this information, we can also change this dashboard up the top right. So I can change that time period as to whatever I want to see for that data in that time period as well. Our client counts and bandwidth, our top clients. So what clients are consuming data on my network, and what APs that data is going through. We can see here there's a particular AP that's sending a majority of my data on my network, and clusters as well. So what clusters are sending lots of data? I've just got a single cluster here today. Now on the subscription page, we saw briefly a subscription called Clarity. That is our Wi-Fi connectivity platform. Wi-Fi connectivity is all about giving you information on your back-end infrastructure to help you diagnose and alleviate problems that users may think is network related or Wi-Fi related, where it's actually another part of your environment that's causing the problem. So there's a couple of different metrics we look at in this area. So we've got association, so how long a device takes to associate to your network. Authentication, how long your radius packets are taking to come back. DHCP and DNS. So a really big issue on lots of customer networks that I've seen is DNS problems. DNS is a really big thing when customers or customers' clients are having Wi-Fi related problems. My browsing is slow and things like that. With Wi-Fi connectivity, especially with DNS and DHCP, are servers running out of RAM or something like that, your DNS lookups are very slow. This can help isolate those problems for you. So maybe your server's running out of RAM, it's taking a really long time to browse sites because of that DNS problem. This will actually help you look at that back-end infrastructure and give you that kind of information to help you ascertain what's going wrong on your network. So we can see I've had a couple of DHCP failures on my network, and there's also been some DNS delays as well. Now, we might just move on to AI Insights from there, but I'll come back to some of these Wi-Fi connectivity issues when we start looking at some of the client troubleshooting we have as well. So AI Insights, you're going to see a lot more in this side of our products. I'll just change this time period to recently. So AI Insights is all about giving you some of that more detailed information, help you proactively manage your network and, you know, resolve problems before they become a problem, I guess, that's visible to users. So I actually had an issue on my network a couple of weeks ago. Now you can see here, I have had a couple of messages here from my AI Insights to tell me there's been a couple of issues or potential issues on the network. But I just want to highlight one that came around a couple of weeks ago. So if I change my time period at the top right here, go back to the last month, we can see here we've got an interesting AI insight about access point with high memory utilization. Now, if I click on that insight, over that time period, we can see here there's been a couple of days where, in particular, we've got a particular AP model that's had a very, very long history of high memory, and it's actually affected just one particular access point in my environment in one particular site. So we can then dive in and see what firmware revisions are running on that product, what the model of the product is, and we can also see from a site level what sites are being affected by that. So AI Insights is all about giving us much more granular information so we can proactively manage and, you know, alleviate problems. So from this insight that I saw, I actually rebooted the access point, and you can see since then that AP hasn't had a problem. So it may have been an anomaly within the device that's helped me to actually alert me to the problem, but also give me an idea as to what the device is, what the model of the device is, and so forth, enabling me to proactively manage and get around that problem. So another really good example of this might be iOS, you know, driver-related problems on clients and things like that. AI Insights is all built enabling you to kind of start getting insights as to, you know, particular devices are affected by maybe a particular problem, or maybe it's the device with a particular AP model that's a problem, enabling us to get more visibility and proactively help you to troubleshoot and resolve problems. And the final piece on that main page is Visual RF. So anyone that is familiar with our on-prem product, that is now built into our cloud platform as well. So I'll quickly dive in here and we'll have a quick look. And we'll just go to one of our floors. Okay, and now we can start overlaying heat maps, our devices on our network, and getting a lot of information. So that's a little bit on the high level container, kind of the base level, you know, if you're running a NOC or something like that. Really good way to start seeing from a high level the status of your entire network, especially with big distributed networks from that single panel. So let's talk about some of the changes in 2.5. Some of the big changes have been around configuration and support, especially in the switching side. We've done a lot of work in you know, improving our GUI-based switch management. So from now, what I'm going to do is just change up the top left. I'm going to go to my groups. So I've got a group here that I am doing my high-level configuration for all my devices within that group. So now what we have our access points, our switches, and our gateways. From here, I can actually dive into the device and do some device level monitoring. Or up the top right here now, if you can see that configuration nog, I can actually click on that and from the same panel actually configure my devices as well as get monitoring data as well. So this has been a pretty big change from that GUI style management and monitoring from that single panel. But let's go to switches because there's been a lot of work done on the switches as far as GUI goes within Central. So I've got a switch here. I'll give you a quick look at some of the dashboard data you're going to be able to pull out for switches. So here, overview page, we can kind of get a quick look at the switch. what firmware it's running, how long it's been up for, all our network data, and also our hardware status, our port status, and uplinks and so forth, and switch usage. We can then dive into our ports, get a status on all our ports and the switch. And we can dive down here and see what's up, what's running, and the associated MAC that's on that port of the switch. PoE status, we can now view and see our live PoE status. So if anyone's having, if you've got a fairly dense environment with significant PoE load, you'll be able to see in here exactly what's being drawn out of the switch and where it's coming from. So we can see here all our devices, whether they're enabled, how they're being delivered, and how they're actually negotiating that PoE status as well. And we can see some PoE consumption data as well down the bottom. Our VLAN status, now this is a fairly basic network. I've just got one VLAN, but you can then see all your VLANs, how they're running on your network, and the status of them, whether they're tagged, untagged, and so forth. And routing in the GUI has been a new feature. So we can now actually from the GUI monitor and actually manage all our routing from switches in the central GUI. So we can see here, these are all my routes on my home network that is running in the lab. And we've got our hardware status where we can see all our hardware status. This is a fixed switch, so we're not going to see a lot of information, but you'll get all this data as well for our products, especially in the CX range when they come in, as you just saw previously. Lots of fans, modular fans now, modular power and so forth, and some of our higher end products. And connected devices as well. So I'm just going to dive out of that context, so my switch specific context, and give you a quick look at some of the switch configuration. So I'm just going to click on my configuration log up the top right, and we can see here we've got our switch, and these are all of our configuration items now we can do GUI based. So the beauty of this is our GUI based interfaces through Central now have a lot more features, especially for smaller branches and things like that. You're going to be able to cover, all your configuration needs through that GUI easily, and then use the zero-touch provisioning to get our devices connected into here, pulling these configurations down really easily and quickly. So we have stacking support in the GUI, so you can actually configure stack support through here and provision our switches into the cloud with stacking. Some of the new features around system settings. We've now got support for things like SNMP and CDP in the cloud. That was new within 2.5. IGMP is also a new GUI-based feature. So if you want to do multicast and things like that on your network, that's now part of the GUI. IP settings, so we now have routing enabled as well in that GUI platform. So we can actually turn on routing and set up routing through that GUI. DHCP. System settings, and also security. So another new feature we've released recently has been DHCP snooping and port rate limiting. So really powerful way to get branches easily managed through a GUI and zero-touch provision devices into that platform. I won't cover the APs today. We don't have a lot of time, but also the gateways. So the gateways are all managed through here. And we have those wizards we kind of talked about earlier in the slides, which you can also run to guide you through and get your gateways up and running really quickly. So let's have a quick look at client troubleshooting. So if I go to my clients, I'm going to see all my clients that are connected on my site at the moment. I'll just wait a minute just in case the lag is a bit delayed for you guys. Can you see that, Dean? Am I running too fast, or is it all kind of drawing on the screen okay?
No, we've got you perfectly. We can see the screen.
Okay, cool.
No problem.
Okay, so you can see here I've got all my clients that are connected. Some are offline. I've got a couple of Ring cameras, and we've got some other devices. So let's go to maybe this iPad. And here I can see client details. Now we haven't got a lot of time today, but we talked about some of the AI-based stuff that's down the platform. So I can say up here as well, in this search bar at the top, search for a user or a device, and that can actually take me to this context where I can actually see and diagnose what's going on with the user. So here I can actually see the client, the SSID it's associated with, the access point that they're associated with, and also the associated switch. So all already from here, I can actually get a really quick overview as to if there's a potential problem. Central will alert me if there's a device or a switch or the SSID, there's a potential problem for that user that's causing them connectivity problems. Some new features that we've released, Go Live. We can actually do Go Live monitoring and see the data that a user's consuming. We can also apply some actions to that user as well. So we can blacklist users from here and disconnect. Some other things that we have brought out recently, live events. We can also do live packet captures for clients through the cloud platform as well. AI Insights, we can also pull that information from a client-based perspective. So if a client has a particular problem, you can see here, excessive 2.4 gigahertz dwell time has been affecting this user in particular. So we can see here, particularly on the 2.4 radio. And then we can see maybe if it's a power problem or maybe it's an SNR problem as to why they're not negotiating or moving onto different radios based on particular times of day and so forth. And even from here, I can see this is a particular time of day that device has been affected. I can then go to connectivity and kind of see where they've been associated on the network and where they've been roaming, and kind of start correlating what may be going on as far as that user's connection problems go. Location data, we can also put that into Visual RF and pull that data out for that user. And UCC. Now that iPad won't have any information, but all your UCC data will be filtered into here on a per user basis. And then you can start pulling out call metrics and seeing if there's any potential problems on your network that's maybe causing poor call quality and so forth on your network. That's a little bit on client troubleshooting. I'll quickly show you guys firmware, and then we'll just dive into CDI to kind of finish off on, just give you a look at that. So firmware, we can manage all our products and also all our firmware. This is really, really good. There's also some really exciting features with firmware in our new ESP platform, especially with Wi-Fi. We can now do rolling upgrades. So rolling upgrades is enabling us to take some of that functionality from our controller-based solutions, where we can actually dynamically upgrade devices based on moving our users off those devices and associating them with another AP, while not bringing the entire network down. So here, just to give everyone a quick look, I can manage my firmware compliance, and maybe I might set a particular firmware version for a particular group, and Central will actually tell me what they recommend, what firmware revisions we run on those products as well. So very nice, easy way to centrally manage and deploy your firmware, and we can then schedule a particular time for that device to go online and get updated for you. That's a little quick overview on Central. I guess there's a lot of other things I can show you guys. There's a lot of new reporting features in 2.5. We don't have a lot of time to go through today. Security is also another one. Actually, before I dive into the SD-WAN, or sorry, the CDI stuff, I might just give you guys a quick look at the SD-WAN side of things, just to give you a quick look. Just quickly talk about some of the routing features and so forth that we have. So this is my SD-WAN gateway. This is the status of the gateway. Very quickly, I can see my WAN availability. So I have dual uplinks going out of this box. I can see here there's been one link down over a time period of a month, whereas we've had this other primary link up. We can also see our VPN status, WAN usage, if there's any compression, if we're getting any compression rates over that, and also our health status on our WAN. One thing I really wanted to talk about today really quickly was our tunnel orchestration. So the big differentiator with our platform is we have what's called a route orchestrator in the cloud. Now this is really powerful for customers that don't want to have to manually configure IPsec tunnels and see where they're going and things like that. The route orchestrator is basically a tick box that you turn on within Central. And what that then does, it will actually orchestrate creating all your dynamic tunnels from your branch gateways to your VPN concentrators, whether they're in your data centers, whether they're cloud-based, Azure, AWS, and then start orchestrating all your routing over those tunnels as well. Also, we can also see in here all our routes that are pumped into that gateway from that route orchestrator if I'm using it. You can also use static tunnels if you want to manually configure static tunnels, but this is a really powerful part of our product is the advanced routing we provide in the SD-WAN platform. And path steering. So dynamic path steering is using our DPI engine. Quickly, for anyone that's not familiar with our products, we have about over 3,000 DPI definitions, so application definitions. With that path steering, I can then use those DPI definitions, and you can see one I've got down here for my Office 365 traffic. And I've actually set bandwidth, latency, and jitter on my Office 365 traffic, and I'm setting path preferences. So this is a really, really powerful way to start dynamically orchestrating where your traffic goes on particular applications over your SD-WAN network really, really quickly from a cloud-driven platform. So that's a quick look at Central from a management and monitoring perspective. So let's dive back into our original data pane, our account home. Now going forward, you're probably going to see some more things appear in here because what we're doing is kind of orchestrating all our platforms into this central platform to give you that one pane of glass to look at all our and manage all our products. So let's have a look at the CDI platform. So for this network, I'm not actually providing a heap of data to CDI. I'm actually just pulling some SNMP information off my switch. But already what I'm actually doing is seeing a lot of really, really good information and detailed information as to what the devices are and the device types on my network. So we can see here, I've got a number of iPhones. I've got some Aruba controllers. I've got some Windows devices. I've also notified, I've actually got some Aruba APs running on my network, some Ring cameras, a couple of Aruba switches, device insights, some iPads, and even ILO. So I've got a HPML server with an ILO interface. Device insights is really giving me a lot of information as to what devices are connected on my network. Now, the beauty of this, for anyone that's familiar with ClearPass and profiling, profiling can only give you so much information on devices on your network. CDI can then pull data out of your network and start getting a lot more information to provide you much more granular control and visibility on devices. So with these device types, I can then feed that information back into ClearPass. So for my AAA, for my, I guess, authorization on my network, and then I might start applying different and more granular control over particular devices. So, you know, a Ring camera, I might say, can only access external services to particular Ring sites instead of, you know, maybe having a rule today where I don't know exactly the device type that's on my network, but I can now use CDI to get really granular, send that device information back, and then really lock that device down. The other powerful thing in CDI is we're using crowdsourcing. So crowdsourcing is pulling lots of customer data. We're normalizing it. So we're not actually pulling any customer specific data, but we can pull that data and actually analyze what devices are doing on your network and help you to realize what kind of device it is. So we might actually give you a suggestion if a device hasn't been identified as to what kind of device it is from other information we have on other customers. And then you can actually provide that into CDI and share that with ClearPass to start providing granular access on your network. So let's have a quick look at a device type. I'm going to pick on a Windows machine today. And I'm going to pick on this device here. So I'm going to go to the device details. So I can now get a lot more information on that device. So how have we actually fingerprinted that device? We can see here. We've seen certain attributes in that device. We've classed that as a Windows machine. We can also statically assign attributes to devices if we want to. Whether if Mac UI is DHCP fingerprinting, we can also use TCP fingerprinting, and also agents running on machines and so forth. Flow attributes I'll show you in a minute. So from a network perspective, this device isn't connected at the moment, but I'll also be able to see the information on that device, you know, what port it's plugged into, the IP it has, the access point it's associated with, and so forth. Now, where CDI gets really interesting is on the network. Let's go back for the last week. So what we can then start doing is with all that CDI data we're pulling in, we can start seeing where devices are talking on the network. Now, going further down the track, some of those AI and machine-based learning things we talked about earlier, what we can then start doing is saying, okay, this device on a daily basis talks to these services or IPs on your network. Maybe a good example is a video camera. Video cameras normally send data to particular video streaming servers on your network. Maybe in this instance, we have data being sent to an external source that is something that doesn't normally happen. From this information within that CDI platform, what we can then do is start assigning risk scores. We've got a risk score up here. That risk score can then maybe be used to identify a security problem on your network. Maybe a device has been hacked, maybe account's been compromised. Now, the ability of that is going to be able to then share that information back to ClearPass and dynamically secure your network or devices connected to your infrastructure based on information we're seeing that device is doing on a daily basis. So that's kind of where we're going with this platform. Today, it's a really, really good way of getting much more visibility and passing much more information back to ClearPass on that platform to provide much more security, much more granular control on your network.
Ryan?
Yes.
Can Device Insight be used separately to ClearPass, or does it require ClearPass?
No, you can use it as a separate product purely from a visibility piece if you wanted to.
Great, thank you.
So that's kind of most of the demos I wanted to run you guys through today. We might just dive back into the slides if we can. And if you want to pop up the slide deck, Dean. Have we got some slides? No? Oh, it looked like he actually dropped out. Hello, Dean. Welcome back.
Hey there, guys. Sorry about that.
Nothing like a live webinar to test you, mate.
Oh, beautiful. Well, you've got me back okay?
Yes, just need the next slide, the atmosphere slide, if we can.
Gotcha. No problem at all.
So anyone that wasn't aware or wasn't able to attend, we had our annual Atmosphere Digital Conference a couple of weeks ago. All that content is still available online. So all the keynotes, Innovation Zone, if you want to know about our products, Aruba Store, if you'd like to buy some products. If you missed out on the 515 today, you can go in there and order to your heart's content. And also lots of technical sessions. So if anyone wants to get some more information or technical info on any of the products or solutions we talked about today, register, it's free, and dive in there and have a look if you want to. I'll hand back over to you, Dean. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll hit up some Q&A, hopefully.
Thank you. Am I back okay, Ryan?
You are, mate. I can hear you and see you.
Perfect. And the slide deck's come back okay?
It has.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so I must apologise. I just had a few technical difficulties, and the questions that I'd marked earlier I'd lost. So please, guys, if I don't ask the questions, please re-ask them via the chat facility, as what I'm going off here is a little bit of memory. Ryan, I think there was 2 main questions I remember off the top of my head. There may be others, and again, I do apologise. Please, whoever's on the call, ask them again if I've lost them. One of the questions, and I'll go in reverse order, was relating, I believe, to, and I could be wrong, the SD branch gateways. I think it was a question relating to, are the virtual cloud gateways available as an AWS, maybe a Google Cloud Platform or Azure Marketplace images?
Yes, it's actually all orchestrated through Central as well. So we have written APIs to, so at today, AWS and Azure is available. Google's coming. So yeah, we've actually, through that cloud platform, you can actually deploy your gateways through your, putting in your account credentials to AWS or Azure, and we can actually help you automatically provision. They're also available, I think, in the marketplace as well. So yes, is the short answer to that.
Great, thank you. There was also a question relating to the Aruba Central tokens. I think there was service and device tokens. And
yes,
what tokens are required to enable which capability in terms of service and device tokens?
So the device management token, that enables you to do all your device management monitoring. So pretty much everything I showed you today is available in the device management. The service tokens are for the Clarity services. So the monitoring we talked about, so your backend infrastructure. I didn't really do much of it, didn't have much time, but the presence analytics, the guest is obviously a service token that's available separately, and also the UCC.
Does one service token cover one particular service area?
Yes, so a service token is for one type of service per one device. So I guess from a service token perspective, they can only be applied to APs because those services are related to features that are available on APs. So if you're managing switches in Central, be aware you would only buy a device management token for the switches. You wouldn't actually, there's no service tokens available for switches as such.
Great. Also, there's a question relating to how does the service handle complex switch configurations? For example, maybe switch configurations that are natively command line or not available via the GUI.
For that, we have what's called templates. So templates can be used for complex switch configs. Template is basically you set up a template group in Central, and you can actually import a running switch if you want to. If it's a complex config, you can actually import it into Central as a template and manage it through there. It's basically loading the CLI config into Central so you can have your more advanced configs.
Okay, got it. And I know you demoed earlier the ability to update firmware remotely across either an individual site or multiple sites. But the question I think that I'm reading here relates to rebooting of access points. For example, is it possible to reboot or schedule reboots of specific devices using Central, e.g. reboot all my access points at 3 a.m. this Sunday?
That's a good question. You can definitely reboot devices manually through the device context. I'll need to check on that. I don't know if you can actually schedule device reboots at particular times. I don't think so.
Okay.
But you can certainly reboot devices through the platform, through that device-specific monitoring. I'll say no, but I'll double check.
Great question too. And also, I think there's a question relating to licensing between, I'm guessing, ClearPass and ClearPass Device Insight. Questions around, do you have to license ClearPass separately as well?
Yes, ClearPass is licensed separately. CDI is actually licensed totally separate to Central. So the short answer is yes. CDI is licensed on the amount of devices you are profiling. ClearPass is a separate conversation for another day.
Great. Okay. Well, thanks, Ryan.
I hope that clarifies, Tim.
if there's no more questions, we're getting pretty close on time. So what we might do now is switch over to the moment where we all have the opportunity to walk away with an enterprise access point 515, a service token, and a device token. So with that, what we're going to do is put a little randomizer in and see if one of our lucky attendees can walk away with an access point.
I hope we've excluded Aruba staff from this, Dean, especially Adam Dawson. I saw him on the attendee list. Just want to be really clear on that.
So Andrew, would you be kind enough to get us rolling, and I'll let you know when the screen appears.
Hi team, yes, just having a couple of technical issues myself. Just give me 2 seconds to get this sorted out and I'll be with you.
No problem at all. Well, while we've got a second or so waiting for Andrew, is there anything else there that maybe Ryan through Aruba Central that you believe that are really assisting customers in I suppose the new world? Zero touch deployment, I know for Aryon's customers, is quite important for distributed networks in terms of allowing the configuration and deployment of networks whilst I suppose wherever we need to be.
Yeah, I think the big thing especially with ESP, is enabling our bigger enterprise customers to now pivot to a single pane of glass. So yeah, I mean, anyone that did attend the other day, we had a big customer in Queensland. They've actually been running on ESP for about 3 or 4 months, and they have end-to-end Aruba infrastructure. So they've got controllers, they're trialing some SD-WAN gateways, they're running wireless, and they've also got some switches. So for them, they've got 70-odd sites. The ability to have everything end-to-end and in a single pane of glass is significant time savings. And also the AI insights. There's a lot more coming as well on AI insights, especially in the switch space. So keep an eye for that. I think the next release, we're going to see some really, really cool stuff to give you a lot more information to proactively manage your network.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I know what I love personally about the Aruba Central and the Aruba portfolio from an Aryon perspective is the technology is applicable and delivers value for small, medium, and large enterprise customers, regardless of who you are. The platform offers a great ability to, because it's so easy to use for a small business, but yet offers such a depth of capability for the large enterprise as well. Actually, it looks like Andrew's ready to go. So, Andrew, feel free to spin and exclude Adam Dawson. Okay, so today's winner is Armando. Fantastic, thank you. So what we'll do is we'll be in touch to organise the logistics for you, Armando, after the webinar's finished today. However, we're right on time, so thank you very much for all of you who have attended today's session. I will just get us back onto our thank you slide, where should you have any questions that weren't answered or you weren't able to get your questions answered today, please feel free to email us. There's some information there, or call through, and we'd love to answer any of your questions and help out wherever we can. Again, thank you very much for attending today. And this recording has, this webinar has been recorded, so you will be emailed this recording to watch on demand. And also, please do join us. Our next webinar in the series is on the 8th of July, and it will be covering public cloud SaaS security with Palo Alto Networks. Again, thank you very much. That's what we've got time for today. So with that, we'll close out. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.